Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanatam Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biham Hari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanatam Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biham Hari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanatam Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biham Hari. Jaya Radha Shama Sundara Radha Shama Sundara Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Om Shupad Paramahams Parivrajagacchaya Asota Satta Shishamachilaye Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Shupad Paramahams Parivrajagacchaya Asota Satta Shishamachilaye Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki. Anantakuri Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Sirup Si Sanatan Bhattaraganachi Jiva Gopalabhata Dasaraganacha Goswami Prabhu Ki. Prem se Gosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivajari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopal Gopi Gopinath Chan Kund Radha Kuntī Giri Govardhana Ki. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Sri Mathura Dham Ki, Sri Mayapura Dham Ki, Sri Jagrapuri Dham Ki, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki, Ganga Yamuna Devi Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki, Sri Sri Gonitai ki, Sri Sri Krishna Balaram ki, Sri Sri Radha Shama Sundar ki. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. A reading from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, 5th chapter, text number 22. Yehi saṁsparśa-jā bhogā duḥkha-yonaya evate ādy-antavantaḥ kaunteya na teṣu ramate budhaḥ. Yehi saṁsparśa-jā bhogā duḥkha-yonaya evate ādy-antavantaḥ kaunteya na teṣu ramate budhaḥ.
Yehi saṁsparśa-jā bhogā duḥkha-yonaya evate ādy-antavantaḥ kaunteya na teṣu ramate budhaḥ. Yehi saṁsparśa-jā bhogā duḥkha-yonaya evate ādy-antavantaḥ kaunteya na teṣu ramate budhaḥ. Yehi saṁsparśa-jā bhogā duḥkha-yonaya evate ādy-antavantaḥ kaunteya na teṣu ramate budhaḥ. Yehi saṁsparśa-jā bhogā duḥkha-yonaya evate ādy-antavantaḥ kaunteya na teṣu ramate budhaḥ.
Ye, those, he, certainly, saṁsparśa-jā, by contact with the material senses, bhogā, enjoyments, duḥkha, distress, yonayaḥ, sources of, eva, certainly, they are, ādi, beginning, anta, end, vantaḥ, subject to, kaunteya, O son of Kuntī, na, never, teṣu, in those, ramate, takes delight, budhaḥ, the intelligent person. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with material senses. O son of Kuntī, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Purport. Material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? In the Padma Purana it is said, Ramante yogina nante satyananda chit atmani iti ramapadena asau param brahma abhidhiyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasure from the Absolute Truth. And therefore the Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Ram. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, 5th canto, 5th chapter, text number 1. Nayam deho deha bhajam driloke kastan kamam aharite vidbhujam ye tato tapo divyam putraka-yena sattvam shudyad yasmad brahmasokyam tanantam. My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure when it is human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool-eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified. And as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasure, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutabhatakamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Serapam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vidamtam Sajivam Sadhaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakandvidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Govika Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishamano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyahe Bacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivadari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yehi saṁsparśa-jā bhogā duḥkha-yonaya te ādy-antavantaḥ kaunteya na teṣu ramate budhaḥ. So here, Krishna speaking to Arjuna and explaining about an intelligent person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness, and such a person does not take part in sense gratification in this material world, because he knows that in this material world, acting in this material world, trying to enjoy in this material world will result in misery only ultimately. And the pleasure which is available in this world, it is very temporary. So it has a beginning and an end. Whereas in the spiritual world, transcendental pleasure is ever increasing. And sometimes in the spiritual realm there is some transcendental emotion and transcendental distress may be there in separation from Krishna. But it is there just very briefly, and that will only help to increase one's love for Krishna, and then that will increase the pleasure also, ultimately. Because again, seeing Krishna, meeting Krishna, then the pleasure will be increased. So the eternal associates of Krishna, they are always in the loving relationship and loving service. In transcendental exchange with Krishna. But the conditioned souls in this material world are being forgetful of Krishna, not aware of Krishna, of their spiritual nature. They are engaged in sense gratification. Trying to enjoy this material world with the senses, different senses. The eyes want to see beautiful things, and the ears want to hear beautiful sound. Of course, different persons, they have a different kind of taste or understanding, even in the material world, what is beauty in regards to seeing, in regards to hearing. Some persons, they like to hear, even in the material world, some traditional music, like in India, classical music with Indian instruments like tabla, sitar, and so on, which is in the mode of goodness, which is actually also giving some pleasure. If Krishna is not in the center, of course it is material, but it is in the mode of goodness, whereas those in the mode of passion, so they like to hear passionate music, like so this rock music or rock and pop and all these kinds of instruments which are there, mostly Western, guitar and so on. So, and some pleasure is there, but it is temporary. So a liberated person is not at all interested in that. And the practicing devotee, transcendentalist, he's knowing that it is not beneficial for him. Although he may still be attracted to material sound or material beauty, material form, but he will try to control and try to look inward, try to see, for example, the deities or devotional music which is purifying the senses, which is purifying the consciousness. So Prabhupada is quoting one famous verse from Padma Purana. Ramate yogin anante satyananda chitatmani. So the yogis are those who are engaged in trying to connect to the Supreme Lord. Yoga means to link with the Supreme Lord, either through one's activities, karma yoga, or by cultivating knowledge, jnana yoga, or by ashtanga yoga, or then ultimately, of course, by bhakti-yoga. So by connecting with the Supreme, then one can get transcendental pleasure. Ananta, anante, satyanande. So, which is unlimited. And it is explained, so the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead is also therefore known as Ram. Taking pleasure in the self, Atmaram. So Krishna is Atmaram also. He's enjoying in himself. He's the source of all pleasure. So, and then Prabhupada is quoting another verse from the Bhagavatam, from the 5th canto, Lord Rishabhdev speaking to his sons. Nayam deho deha bhajam nriloke kastanam kamam harite vidbhujam. So that one should not work very hard for sense pleasure, which is actually available here to everyone, even without working hard. So this explained. Vidabhujam, the stool eaters, that refers to hogs, or even dogs, they also eat stool. So they don't have to endeavor much, that is easily available. But the human form of life actually is meant for self-realization. And therefore, it is mentioned tapo divyam, tapo, tapa. One has to undergo some austerity, but divyam, in order to approach the Supreme Lord. So then it becomes transcendental activity. By connecting with the Lord, Shuddhyadi asma brahma sokyam tanantam. And then one can experience. So the sokyam, the bliss of Brahma, of being in contact with the Absolute Truth, and that is anantam, that is unlimited. So it is a gradual process, and this spiritual life, one has to try one's best to be completely absorbed in spiritual activities under the direction of the representative of the Lord, the spiritual master. So first one has to follow rules and regulations, sadhana bhakti. One has to know what to do and what not to do. Vidhi or nished, vidhi, the rules to follow, what to do, and nished, things which we should not do. And most important, of course, is to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, as explained, different forms of connecting with the Lord, but most important is to be directly engaged in the transcendental loving service by worshipping the archa vigraha. Because in the beginning stage we cannot see the Supreme Lord. Therefore He appears in a form which we can perceive, the archa vigraha, the deity form. And under the guidance of the spiritual master, when we serve the deities, then there's an exchange with the Lord. And we can feel the transcendental pleasure, we can feel the reciprocation with Krishna. And that will purify our consciousness, will purify our senses. And then it is possible to give up attachment to this material world by experiencing a higher taste. So now, for example, in the month of Kartik, it is mentioned in the scriptures that we have to perform some austerity. So throughout one's life, on a daily basis, some restraint has to be there in regards to controlling the senses. Especially during the month of Kartik or Chaturmas. So, of course, Prabhupada just gave the minimum that we should Doing Chaturmas, in the first month we don't take spinach, in the second no yogurt, in the third no milk, in the fourth no urad dal. But that is the absolute minimum. Those who are intelligent, because they know that by nature the embodied soul is trying to enjoy in this material world, and to give up the enjoying spirit will take time. But at least during Chaturmas, or then especially during Kartik, a special endeavor should be made to increase one's devotional activities and to decrease activities of this material world. So Prabhupada is writing also in the last paragraph. So the transcendentalists, the yogis, they are not attracted to sense pleasure because they know that this is the cause of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasure, the more he is entrapped in this material world, and the miseries will be there. So also as a devotee, so we have to endeavor, but we have to try to become detached from this material world. We have to try to give up enjoying separately from Krishna. It is also actually a very fine line, but between spiritual enjoyment and material enjoyment. Of course, basically Krishna is in the center, and if you try to serve Krishna, and then automatically we will feel some transcendental pleasure also, and that is transcendental enjoyment. Krishnendriya priti, trying to satisfy Krishna's senses, and give up atmendriya tripti, give up trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. So some restraint has to be there. Vacho vegam manaso krodha vegam jiva vegam uttarapasto vegam etan vegan yavishet dira sarvam api man pritvim sashishyat. Rupa Goswami is explaining. Vacho vegam, the urge to speak, the urge of the mind, the urge of the tongue and the belly, wanting to eat some nice foodstuffs, and eating more and more and more. So that has to be controlled. Because even if you engage in devotional service activities, but if one is at the same time not able to control the senses, and then eating too much, then that will be detrimental for our spiritual advancement. So Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he gave an example. One time in Calcutta there was a person who made the arrangement for his son to get married to a daughter of a wealthy, pious person. So they went from Calcutta, and the pious, wealthy father of the girl was staying in Shantipur, near Mayapur, appearance place of Mahaprabhu. So they had to go there. Of course, at that time, it was taking some time with the train, and then also crossing the Ganges by boat. So they arrived there late, and the next morning they're supposed to have the ceremony. So they went to the boatman and told him, "You have to cross the Ganges river." Of course, the Ganges river is quite big, but still it is not such a big distance to cover. So they went inside the boat, and negotiating the price, and they were a little tired because it was already evening time. And they were relaxed and taking some rest, and the boatman started rowing. And then, actually for a long time, and then the bridegroom and his father and relatives, they saw that we are still at the same place. What's happening? And then they saw that the anchor was not taking out. So the example is given when, if you are still attached to this material world, which is compared to the anchor, if you are anchored to this material world, still engaged in trying to satisfy the senses, by hearing things which are not related to Krishna, speaking things not related to Krishna, then we cannot advance properly. So the anchor has to be taken out. We have to try to become free from sense enjoyment of this world, and then we can advance in spiritual life. But in conditioned state, although Krishna is the source of all pleasure, and if we chant the holy names of the Lord, then we can feel transcendental pleasure. But in the beginning stage, one is in the disease condition, and the example is given of just like a person who has jaundice. A person who has jaundice, so when he's eating even sweet things, he will not experience the sweetness of sweets. It will almost feel bitter if one has jaundice. Anyone had jaundice of you who had jaundice? So you experienced, you eat, but you don't feel the sweet taste? So like this, spiritual activities, serving Krishna, chanting the holy names, hearing about Krishna is very sweet because Krishna is the source of all sweetness. But if one is still attached to material things, he cannot taste the sweetness of Krishna Nam. But then, it is also mentioned that if one has jaundice, one should take ganekaras. He should take sugarcane juice or some misri, rock candy, sweet candy, crystallized sugar, or rasgulla. And by eating that, in the beginning no taste of rasgulla or sugarcane juice. It's not sweet. But by drinking every day, then after some time, one becomes cured. Of course, the diet has to be there. One has to eat light, not spicy, not too much ghee, light foodstuffs, and taking some medicine also. But then as one is following the diet and taking sugarcane juice, then after some time the taste will come back. Similarly, by chanting the holy names, although in the beginning, so nishtha, the determination, may not be there. And if there is no determination there is no ruchi, there is no taste. And there is no love there, nam prem. There is no nam nishtha, nam ruchi, nam prem. But by continuously chanting with determination, when nishtha is there, and one does every day, then the taste, ruchi will come. And then afterwards, the love will come also, will manifest from the heart. Because by nature the soul is full of love for Krishna. But in conditioned state, the spirit soul is acting in this world, and therefore the natural love for Krishna is not manifest. So by engaging in spiritual activities, purifying the consciousness with determination, chanting the holy names, hearing about Krishna, serving Krishna, then the taste will come, ruchi. And then one can experience that Krishna Nama no different. And that Dhyacha Vigraha in the temple of Krishna, Balaram, Radha Krishna, they are not different from the Satchidananda Swarup of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. And so then by serving, then the taste will be there, reciprocation will be there. And the more one is advanced, and the more then and the consciousness is pure, and then one is becoming free from the modes of material nature, and one is situated in one's constitutional position on the spiritual platform of the soul, of ourselves. And then the love will manifest for Krishna. It is already there, but in a conditioned state it is dormant. But then by engaging in spiritual activities, it is awakened, and in the pure state, and the pure love will manifest towards Krishna, and then Krishna is reciprocating, and then one can feel so much transcendental pleasure in a loving exchange with Krishna, because Krishna is the source of all pleasure. So we have to constantly endeavor to be engaged in spiritual activities, and then naturally the taste will come. But we have to give up the taste of this material world. So we have to embrace Krishna and let loose of this material energy of Maya. So we cannot embrace Maya and embrace Krishna also, that is not possible. We have to give up the embracement of this material world, and then we have to embrace Krishna, and then we can be fully satisfied. And then there's no question of again trying to enjoy in this material world. Because of knowledge and because of realization, one is able to abstain from trying to enjoy in this world. Hare Krishna. Any question? So we'll stop here, and you can have some prasadam.